Chapter 30 of Captain Bill McDonald, Texas Ranger, A Story of Frontier Reform. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Captain Bill McDonald, Texas Ranger, A Story of Frontier Reform by Albert Bigelow Paine. Chapter 30. Quieting a Texas Feud. The Reese-Townsend Trouble, and How the Factions Were Once Dismissed by Captain McDonald. As the old century drew near its end, a wave of disorder and crime that amounted to an inundation swept over the eastern and southeastern portion of Texas. Murders, lynchings, mobs, and rumors of mobs were reported daily. The Panhandle, even in its palmiest days, had been a young men's Christian association as compared with the older, more thickly settled portions of the state. In the Panhandle, crime was likely to be of a primitive, elemental kind, the source of crime that flourished in the old days, when the patriarchs pastured their flocks on 100 hills and protected them with a club. In the long-settled districts to the eastward, crime had ripened, as it were, and manifested itself in more finished forms. Feuds had developed, and race prejudice. Communities had been established which found it necessary to hang their only respectable citizens in order to preserve peace. In other places, old ladies, supposed to have a few $100s, were murdered by relatives who could not wait for them to die. These are the things that come only with long settlement, and where certain human impulses have been carefully bred and nourished. The Reese-Townsend feud in Colorado County gave the state no end of trouble. The Reese and Townsend families killed one another in the regulation way when good opportunities offered. They had a fashion of gathering in the streets of Columbus, the county seat, for their demonstrations. And sometimes on a field day like that, they killed members of other families by mistake. But errors of this sort were not allowed to interfere with the central idea of the feud. They apologized and went on killing one another just the same. It was when a boy who belonged to neither faction was shot and killed at one of these reunions that Captain Bill McDonald and his Rangers were ordered to Columbus to put down what seemed about to become a general war. Captain Bill failed to receive the order in time to get his men the same day, but did not wait. He wired two to follow him on the first train and set out for Columbus alone. Arriving on the streets of Columbus, he saw detachments of armed men gathered here and there, the streets being otherwise deserted. He set out at once for the home of District Judge Kennan, to whom he had been ordered to report. After the exchange of greetings, McDonald said, "We haven't much time, Judge, from appearances. I saw a lot of armed men as I came along, and it looks like we're going to have war." "You're right," Judge Kennan said. "We are expecting it any minute. Where are your men, and how many have you?" "None, Judge. I came alone, but I expect 2 in the morning." "In the morning? Why, man, by that time the fight will be over. And what can you do with 2 men here? Nothing less than 25 or 30 will help this case." "Judge," said Captain Bill in his deliberate way, "I believe I can stop this thing if you will come down to the courthouse with me. Anyhow, it's my duty to try. And we'd better be getting over there now, Judge, for this ain't going to wait long. If we can't stop it, we can see a mighty good fight, anyhow." They set out together. The courthouse in Columbus stands in the middle of a big square, with a street on each of its 4 sides. On one corner of the square was gathered the Reese faction, and near another corner the Townsend crowd had assembled. Both were fully armed. They were making no active demonstrations as yet, but were evidently organizing for business. It was a still, sunny summer day, and both crowds were in easy calling distance of the courthouse. "Now, Judge," said Captain Bill, when they had arrived at the courthouse, "who is your sheriff, and where is he?" "His name is Burford, J.C. Burford, and he's over there with the Townsend crowd. He belongs to that faction." Captain Bill stepped to the window and called in the strong official manner of a witness summons, "J.C. Burford," repeated 3 times. There was a movement in the Townsend crowd, and a man crossed over and ascended the courthouse stair. McDonald introduced himself as the sheriff entered, and added, "Now, Mr. Burford, why don't you stop this row? Looks as if we're going to have a killing match here right away." "Captain, I can't. I am powerless to do anything with these men. If I undertake to disarm them, it will start a fight that nobody can stop." "Well, Burford, if you'll do as I tell you, I'll stop it in 30 minutes, or I'll resign my job as ranger." "All right, Captain, I'll do whatever you say," assented Burford. "Then call your crowd over here. I want to talk to them." Sheriff Burford stepped to the window and signed to the Townsend faction. They trooped over and ascended the courthouse stair, carrying their guns. "Mr. Burford," said McDonald, "which are your regular deputies here?" The sheriff indicated his 3 deputy officers. Captain Bill motioned to them to stand apart from the others. "Now, Sheriff," he said, "disarm the rest of these men." The officer looked a little bewildered. "I don't know about that," he began. "Didn't you agree to do what I ordered?" Then, to Kennan, "Didn't he, Judge?" The judge nodded. The sheriff still hesitated. "Never mind," said McDonald. "I'll do it myself. Here, boys," he went on in his mild, friendly drawl, "come in here and stack your guns in this wardrobe. It's a good safe place for them. They won't be likely to go off and hurt anybody in there." What was it about the manner of the man that made men obey? Those aroused, bloodthirsty Texans, full of an old, deep hatred and the spirit of revenge, marched in and put away their guns at his direction, with scarcely a word of dissent. "I don't blame you all for having your guns until now," Captain Bill went on, as he locked the wardrobe and took the key. "But we want to stop this war if we can. It ain't good for the population. Now, I'll just go over and look after the other crowd." He went out of the courthouse and crossed the street to where the Reese crowd was gathered. He carried his Winchester, and the faction watched him curiously as he approached. "I guess you boys are going to war, ain't you?" he said cheerfully as he came nearer. Nobody replied, and Captain Bill came up close. "Boys," he said, "your guns are all right up till now, but the governor has sent me down here to stop this trouble, and I want you all to help me." "How can we help you?" asked one of the Reese faction. "Like them boys did over yonder just now, by giving up your guns, then by going quietly home." There was a little murmur of dissent, and one big husky fellow said, "Well, you'll play hell getting my gun." In less than an instant, a Winchester was under his nose, and Captain Bill was crisply saying, "I will, hey? Well, I'll just put you in jail anyway, to show how easy it is to do that." The big fellow gave a great jump and nearly fell over with surprise and fright. His gun dropped as if it had been hot. The leader of the Reese faction spoke up quickly. "Boys, he's right," he said. "The governor sent him here, and he's obeying orders. He has no interest in one side or the other." McDonald marched the Reeses over to a store nearby, where they laid down their guns, and the clerk was ordered to take charge of them. The big man under arrest promised all manner of things if Captain Bill would let him go. He was set free with a warning. Peace now seemed to be restored, and in the general gratitude of the community, refreshments and invitations were tendered to Captain Bill from both sides. He decided, however, to remain on duty during the rest of the day and night. His 2 men arrived next morning, but everything was still quiet, and there appeared no sign of a renewal of hostilities. The Reese-Townsend trouble, for the time at least, was over. Footnote 10. Report of Adjutant General Thomas Scurry of Texas, 1899. During the month of March, 1899, Capt. McDonald and 2 men were ordered to Columbus, Colorado County, for the purpose of preventing trouble between the Townsend and Reese factions. Captain McDonald went alone, his men not being able to reach him in time, and his courage and cool behavior prevented a conflict between the 2 factions. For fuller official details of this and other work of that period, see Appendix B. End of Chapter 30.